back to it. Let's see. I'll move that over a little bit so I can see. The better to see you with. All right. Let's see. Home. Let's go. Nope, not that. If you're tuning in, hello. I'm just getting a couple of things organized here. That's it. Boom. Boom. Gotta do this. And do this. Oh, no. Boom. Share. All right. Goodness, I am a sleepy boy today. How you guys doing? Post. Just sharing this around. Don't know who's going to pop up and talk to us. Today was really fun. Unfortunately, after the podcast or after the show, Freddie had to run to the doctor's for an appointment. So it's just me talking a bit today, which I hope you're okay with. Whoever's there. I don't know if anybody's there. If you are there, please say hello. And I just have to send this to one more place and we are good to go. And kaboom! That's what's up. All right. Hey, Carol, how you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I don't have my guitar, so we're going to do the intro like this. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. That was loud. Well, today was fun. A lot of fun for us. We did something we haven't done before. I don't think we've done it before. We told the story with music. We told a musical story. And Freddie, the whole reason we wanted to do this, the whole reason we got here is because of this interesting instrument right here. Which is very difficult to play. As you notice, I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching anything. It's called a Theremini, and it's a fairly old idea. I think it's been around for 40, maybe 50 years, something like that. And it creates a lot of really interesting sounds if you want it to. So for example, we got this one. Where is it? Come on. Yeah, it's not behaving right now. Hey, Aleisha. Yeah, but we got this weird thing here. Oh, that's why. We got the sparkle horse, blip glop. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. All right, it's a weird thing. But as you can tell, we've had this for a couple weeks now. We've wanted to use this in the lesson, but it's incredibly difficult to play. Aleisha, I'm fairly certain this instrument has been used in some Star Trek theme. It definitely has a Star Trek feel to it. I agree with you 100% on that. So it's called a Theremini, or a Theremini, or a Theremin, depending on who you talk to. This particular version, I believe, is a Theremini. And they were originally created, Freddie told me this. I gotta check if this is true. I've been told it was originally created to be an interface, a computer interface, so you had an X and a Y axis, or wait, is that X and that Y? I forget. So you had an X and a Y axis to interface with the computer, hands-free. That's what I was told it was invented for the purposes of, but it became this. And not a lot of people play it as sort of like an instrument. What I mean by that is playing with songs. To us, we clearly use this as very much of a sound effect sort of instrument. So we've been messing around with this for a couple weeks, and we didn't know what to do. So seeing as Ayanna, I've never really watched Doctor Who, but I believe you. It's just got that sort of futuristic feel to it because even 40, 50 years after its invention, it's still pretty bizarre to do something without your hand, or without touching it, and to create these boopity boppity bippity beepity noises. So when doing these shows, I don't know how many you've seen, but we put a lot of thought into what we do and how we do it. And we're not going to become master players of this instrument. It's not going to happen. So since it's more of a sound effect instrument, we decided to pick a story and tell it. So I was like, great, we're in Germany. I got kids. I figured I'd do a Grimm's fairy tale story. But then I'm like, I didn't know which one of those sort of fit with what this thing does. And then I realized last night that my brother had lent me this book, which is a book of Hungarian folk tales. And that one that I read today sort of stuck out in my mind. Ayanna, were any of your kids listening to the story? I'd be curious to know if they listen up. And Ayanna, how was the delivery? Was it good? Was it all right? It was a pretty long story. Next time I think we'll do something a bit shorter. But yeah, so we decided to do a story. We read through it several times, sort of picking which sounds we would do, but it was really neat. And I got to tell you, it makes me, I used to be in the car with my dad, and certain radio stations would play throwback broadcasts from when they would tell all these stories. Because, remember, guys, I don't know how many of you who are watching, how much this really sinks in, but the generation who are in their 70s and 80s and 90s, unless they were rich when they were kids, they probably just had radio, right? So the way the media, the way the media would get us is telling stories on the radio, and music, and it was just a different format. And now we live in a world where we've got TikTok and all these things, and it's a lot quicker. TV came and changed everything. But the point is, a lot of thought used to go into telling these stories and these serials with the sound effects that they would do and how they would create that. So it was really a lot of fun to do this. What I'd really like to do is listen back to today's show, but just the audio. I'd like to see how it just sounds. Ayanna, the kids like the effects and you like the delivery. All right, cool. Yeah, I think we're going to do that again. But it's a lot of fun. I got a question for you guys. Ayanna, Aleisha, Carol, how many of you guys listen to podcasts? And what kind of podcasts do you listen to? Because I find it really interesting that things are sort of coming full circle again. I come from a country, the United States, where for a long time, even today to a degree, I know it's gotten a little bit less powerful than it used to be. Terrestrial radio is still a thing. People still listen to radio shows, and they still listen to DJs and talk shows and stuff like that. But it's definitely changed for a while. But then podcasts started coming, and now people are just listening again. I don't know. I'm so tired. I'm not explaining myself very well today, but I think it's really neat that podcasts have become as prominent as they are, and people are consuming some kind of media in 2020 that they're not seeing, in the background while they work, while they drive, whatever it might be. They download it, they listen to it on the plane. It allows you to multitask. And I'm curious if there are any other podcasts that are doing storytelling like this, because it's just fun. It's a fun thing to try. You listen to history podcasts. Okay. All right. Very interesting. And the ones about Greek mythology. All right. Most podcasts you listen to are childcare podcasts. All right. And Stan listens to a lot of podcasts. Okay. Very cool. And Aleisha, You listen to podcasts, your favorite is Musical 36 Questions. It's performed completely in podcast forms. Musical 36 Questions. Could you send me a link to that? That sounds really neat. Or could you put a link to that in the comments if they're on Facebook or something like that, or the website? That sounds very, very neat. You know, one of the things I'm still sort of unwinding and processing from having done this show, I get excited when we try new things. I always get excited when we try new things. I get excited by failure as well, because not everything went perfectly. But a neat thing about today is that we put ourselves into somewhat of a box, right? Like we set rules. And I think that's kind of a recipe for discovery. When you don't give yourself any limits, when you don't give yourself any limits at all, creation can be daunting. But when you set your picture frame, in this case, we had the frame. The frame was a story, right? That was our sandbox, as Freddie likes to call it, or the canvas, as I consider it as a painter. So once we have that figured out, then it's sort of like filling in the gaps. So how? All we knew was we wanted to use this thing, and we had a story. And then we just started looking at it and seeing the instruments we had and figure out what worked with what. And it was a lot of fun. And then you sort of make the most, because Freddie played the drums in several different ways. He played the Theremini in several different ways. He played the guitar in several different ways. And that's just such a good way to, again, squeeze every single drop out of the fruit that you're using. Something to think about. Like, Aleisha, I know you. Oh, thank you for posting. Thank you for putting the link up, Aleisha. Aleisha, I know you're making. I believe you said you're making doll furniture. Is that correct? Or you're making a dollhouse, or both? Is that right? Like you have your scale. I'm guessing. Like I at some point when you're going to build furniture for a different world or build a dollhouse for a different world, I'm guessing that there needs to be somewhat standardization so you can fill in things that you're creating appropriately. And that's kind of what we tried to do today. Ayana, you like the idea of a storytelling podcast. I do too. Excuse me, I'm so tired. I sort of really like the idea of getting a bunch of stories and doing it. Ayana, if you think about it, if you could maybe cherry pick like 3 or 4 stories that might apply for different age groups that would be good for Freddie and I just to do. And we don't necessarily have to do them live, like some of them we might, but I kind of just want to do a bunch of them and have them up on YouTube. That's what I want to do. I think that would be a lot of fun. It gets kind of tricky because I have all these ideas for what to do, and Freddie does as well, but we have to walk certain lines. Like these are folk tales. They're old. They're like very, very old. I don't think we're in violation of anybody's rights by telling a Grimm's fairy tale, for example. They've been told forever. But I think I'd probably get into trouble with certain publishers depending on the book that I did. So I'd like to figure out how to navigate that and do it, because it's fun. Like it's really fun. Oh, Ayana, that would be awesome. So there you go, folks. I don't really know what else to tell you. Do you have any questions about what we did today? Any questions about the instrument? Any of the stuff? I'm super happy to answer all of them. And while I'm waiting for questions, I'll play around with this bizarre thing. So weird. What a bizarre thing. We can change the scale. That's neat. That's so neat. All right. Carol. This instrument is called a Theremini. It's made by a company called Moog, M-O-O-G Music. And that's the name of, or do you mean the name of the story? The story is called Amalfi and the Flying Palace. Aleisha, how long did it take to plan and learn the sound effects for Amalfi and the Flying Castle? Excellent question. Freddie and I, we met up today at 11 o'clock and we went through the story. I think it took us, basically our process was this. I read the story and we played around with sounds, okay? We did that for a good hour and a half, I'd say, right? And that allowed us to go through the story. Like, I read the story to Freddie. It was funny. Like, you have to imagine me reading a story to a grown man. I sat down there and I read the story to Freddie in complete, no music. And then we thought about it a little bit, set up our instruments, and then I read it again and I would read and Freddie would do stuff and I would give him feedback and he would be like, oh, wait, what about this? So we started just playing, experimenting. Does that work? And what we did is we struck here. I'll bring you in if I could find the thing. Oh no! Let me find the Zoom. So what we did is Freddie took his notebook and we structured the story into 3 basic parts. Okay, maybe let's call it 4 basic parts, if you really want to. The search, which is the 3 brothers, we did that part of it. Sorry, wrong way. I always do that. And then we did the quests, Amalfi's quest, which we broke up into 2 parts. Okay, and then finally was the 3rd part was finding the castle and battling the monster and all that stuff. That was the 3rd part. So we wanted to have a bit of visual structure in the form of something Freddie could follow along with. Because Freddie, if you noticed while we were doing this, he was looking at this notebook. There were certain cue words that Freddie had related to instruments that he would know what to do. So we did a while of just note taking. Okay, if I say this, or if I pause this long, boom, do that. And then he had to go. I did some other stuff. He came back at about 4. And from there, we went through it again. And we essentially went through the presets. So this thing has this thing probably has like 30 or 40 or 50 different presets on it. And we decided on the following presets to use here and there. Yeah. We thought that was, God, that's loud. We thought that was really good for like the monster because it's sort of scary. I think at least. Right? And then the rest of them were sort of like magical things. That was for the flying castle. That's what we used there. We thought that was appropriate. and then more sort of like magical stuff. So what we did was I have an app, and my iPad is connected to the Theremini, and I saved those presets so they were easy for us to access. Sometimes Freddie might forget, so if you watch, you might have noticed me pressing something on the iPad, so that we could very quickly get into the sort of the feeling that we wanted the Theremini to apply. So all in all, it took us probably about 2.5 hours to prepare, I think. You like the monster noise? Yeah, I thought that was. I think that's a nasty sound. Like, that's a nasty sound. It's sort of like, not exactly. I mean, you're a Star Trek fan, but do you know the crystalline entity? That sort of gives me that sort of vibe. So yeah, so that's how we did it. It's so much fun. I want to do it again. So there you go. What else can I tell you? Boy, I like doing this. I really, really do. It's one of those things that I really like. I can see it happening in my head. We just want to. Freddie and I need to figure out. Like, we just want to keep doing this and figure out how to make this a job. Like, we have to figure out how to make this a job. Because I mean, this, and of course playing music, which I understand what to do. We have to get gigs. Like, you have to get gigs and play in front of people and do all that stuff. That's pretty clear. Not easy, but clear. This, it's a different animal. Just with all the stuff that's going on the internet. But God, I can't tell you how much fun it is. You know, I feel very, very lucky. I've had a bunch of jobs in my life, and a lot of jobs, you know, you trade time for money. You don't really get to choose who you work with. And that's just the way it is. Like, it's, you know, it's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily good, but it's not always fulfilling. When having the opportunity to work with Freddie these past several years, it's been some of the best working experience of my life. So I hope all of you really get that chance to find somebody that you just vibe with and work with that person. Because I guess our situation's a bit differently, because it's not just like you meet somebody in the office that you happen to like, or you get on with your boss, which is great when that happens. Like, Freddie and I, we're in this interesting thing where we're creators. We like to make music. We like to play. And we also I got kids. He teaches kids. We both teach kids. We just get on so well together. So we're in this interesting thing where working together is the best. And now we need to look at it like a business and figure that out, which is sometimes hard for people like us. Freddie is much more of sort of like a hired gun when it comes to stuff like that. Like, he plays in a bunch of bands, and I think a lot more about sort of what we need to do for the business stuff. But at the same time, I just want to create. I just want to do this. Like, that's all I want to do. If there was a magic wand, I would be able to hire somebody to be our business manager, and take care of that aspect of it. But we'll see. Aleisha, you know, that is, yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. I think I mentioned him when we talked the other day. There's a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. A dream scenario would be to get a company like VaynerMedia to say that, you know, we want to dip into stuff like this, and either have us hire us on their show. I mean, one way to do it is just get on somebody's payroll, and they give you a budget to do the show, and it's under their sort of umbrella, which I would only want to do if we could keep the IP, the intellectual property about what we do. The other is for it to grow and get sponsorship money from deals and endorsements, which, you know, we're not very big, so that's a would be nice thing. I guess my head right now is simply in the keep creating things, because the more you do, the more that's out there, the more we can say to people, hey, look what we do. And then maybe we find, a company that, wants to either hire us, or we become a nonprofit and give ourselves a budget where we're hired and we do it that way. And we just do free music education. I don't know, but we got to figure it out. It's a fun process though. It's a really fun process. So listen, I got to dip. Thanks for hanging out with us, or hanging out with me. We'll be playing a concert in about an hour and a half, I suppose. What time is it? Yes, it's 6:30. We'll be playing a concert in about an hour and a half. And then I might go live again on TikTok tonight. I don't know. I'm so tired. I am so tired. We'll see. But it's been a good day. I hope you guys are having a good day. And we'll see you later. And tomorrow on the music show, we've got an exciting thing. We're doing a Turkish song. And we've got our cobbler around the corner, the guy who fixes shoes and belts and keys and all that stuff. He's a fantastic Turkish dude named Typhoon, and he is also a multi-instrumentalist and a pretty good singer. So he's going to come on and sing a Turkish song with us, and we're going to do that tomorrow. So that's exciting. So have yourself a wonderful day. We'll see you later, and time for the end song. Goodbye. Goodbye, we'll see you next time. Goodbye, we'll see you next time. Peace, have a good one. You guys are the best.